everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new Marvel Legends Infinite Series Scarlet Spider-Man figure from Hasbro. Now this figure is part of the new Spider-Man Marvel Legends Rhino Build-A-Figure wave, and it comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've seen with the other Spider-Man Legends. Because this is a Spider-Man character, we have the Spider-Man logo up top. The figure's clearly displayed in the window box packaging. You've got the Marvel Legends Infinite Series logo down below along with the character's name. On the top of the packaging we again have that little spider since this is a Spider-Man character. Images of Spider-Man on both sides of the packaging, and then an image of the figure on the back along with a brief bio in multiple languages. Then down below we have a look at all the figures in the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. Now first of all, the figure comes with the heads for the Rhino Build-A-Figure. There's actually two different heads, so we just get kind of a normal head for Rhino, and then we get a Rhino head that has him, looks like he's in a mad rage. So we'll be looking at the Rhino figure in its own review once we have all the figures in this wave opened and all the parts together ready to assemble. So be sure to check back for that. So the figure itself is actually one that I've somewhat been excited for. I was reading the comics back in the 90s when this version of Spider-Man debuted, and I've actually always kind of been a fan of this costume. It's kind of a piecemeal costume where he just took a hoodie shirt and he's just wearing red tights. But I actually thought this costume always looked good. I hated the Clone Saga story, but I did like this this costume. So back in the Toy Biz days, this is not the first time we've gotten a version of this character in figure form, in 6-inch figure form. Toy Biz did do a Marvel Legends version, but originally they were going to do a much nicer looking figure for the Spider-Man Legends line, which was the line of figures Toy Biz started out with before actual Marvel Legends started. So there was actually a Scarlet Spider figure slated for the second wave of those Spider-Man 6-inch Spider-Man Legends figures, and Toy Biz had released some press images for that figure, and it was a very nice looking figure. The shirt was sculpted on like we see with this one, and the details were just really nice based on that image. But for whatever reason, that figure got pulled from the Spider-Man Legends line, I think due to tooling costs. And so it wasn't until several years later that we actually ended up getting a Scarlet Spider from Toy Biz. It was released as a KB Toys exclusive, and honestly the figure was not that good. It did not look anything like the PR images for the figure that was originally slated for the second wave of Spider-Man Legends. The hoodie shirt had become a soft goods shirt, which just did not look very good, and just the paint details on it and everything weren't as nice. So I'm definitely glad that we're finally getting a figure that looks much similar to that original Toy Biz figure that we were supposed to get back in the day. And this figure is basically, other than the torso with the hoodie shirt, is basically the same figure as that Spider-Man, that pizza-eating Spider-Man figure that we got in the last wave of Spider-Man Legends. So, which is definitely a good figure. I like this figure. It's probably one of my favorite Spider-Man figures to date. The figure comes with multiple hands, just like that other Spider-Man figure does. The same hands, minus the pizza holding one. So we've got the two open hands, and then he's got two web shooting hands, and then two closed fisted hands. The detail on this figure I think is pretty nice for the most part. Not a lot of detailed paint applications like with wash work or anything. The hoodie is sculpted on this figure. You've got the little tassels even sculpted on, and it's done with blue with a black spider logo. Now I do have a little red splotch, looks like spilled over from the red paint on the shoulder here of my hoodie, so a little bit of sloppiness there. Hopefully that's just with my figure, but not anything too major. The rest of the figure is just done in a solid red, basically, well, other than the white for the eyes, which are painted on there, and I think look pretty good. and then he's got on his ankles, he's got these brown patches, and these are separate from the figure but glued on, so they're not removable or anything. And then his web shooters, which he on this costume he wears on the outside of his uniform. So, and again, these are look to be just glued on, separate pieces glued onto the figure, and they're done with silver metallic paint with some black lines, and for the most part, pretty clean, paint jobs on those. And then he's got his belt, and again, this is a separate piece from the figure, and it's just a brown belt with silver metallic for the belt buckle, and these little canisters I think are for his web shooters. He's got a little red dot on his belt. But the legs and the arms, the head, the feet, the hands are all carryovers from the Spider-Man figure. So if you have that figure, you basically know what to expect with this one, other than the torso. He's also got the spider symbol sculpted on the back of the hoodie, and he's got the actual, the hood of the shirt on there as well, that it's sculpted on there as well. Now, one thing I do want to note about the sculpting of the hoodie shirt, it's not completely comic book accurate from what I can tell. I had to go back and look at some pictures, but really this the hoodie you wore in the comic actually should have it's a sleeveless hoodie, but it should have like shoulders. The shoulder part should come out a little bit on the shirt. So it's not completely 100% accurate to what we saw in the comic. It's a very small, minor complaint, almost nitpicking, but I just wanted to note that it's this hoodie that they gave on this figure does not look 100% like the hoodie he actually wore in the comic books. The figure stands at just a little bit over 6 inches tall, maybe shy of 6 1/4 inches. And again, he's basically the same height as that Spider-Man figure from the last wave, the pizza-eating Spider-Man as I call him. So articulation on this figure is pretty much the same as that pizza-eating Spider-Man figure. The only difference is with how the arm is attached. With the Spider-Man figure, he's got that kind of inner chest joint, and I don't really know if that adds a whole lot of extra movement to the figure, but that is a bit different in the construction of the figure. Because of the hoodie, the sculpted hoodie on this one, they've just used a standard ball hinge joint. So, but other than that, articulation is pretty much the same. So the head is on a ball hinge joint, so he can look left and right without any problem, and he's got good up and down movement. Now, one thing I do want to note about the paint on the back of his neck is it is a little bit, you see a little bit of dark color bleeding through the red on the back of his neck. It's not terribly noticeable unless you have him bending, unless you push the head down, but I just wanted to notate about the paint there on the neck. He's got, as I said, the arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint, so he can get his arm out good, and he's got good rotation there at the shoulder. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the double hinged elbow, so he's got good bending at the elbow, and then he's got hinges on the wrist so he can get his hands up and down for web shooting poses, and he's also got the swivel at the wrist. He's got the ab crunch joint so he can crunch down pretty good, and he can look up good at the midsection. He's got a waist swivel. Now, one thing to note with the waist is this belt, which as I mentioned before is a separate piece on the figure, has these little canisters or capsules on the belt, and they've actually sculpted little grooves on the bottom of the shirt for those capsules to kind of fit into. However, when you have them, like when you have the belt kind of pushed up on the figure and you do the swivel, it kind of bends the belt a little bit. Those canisters catch in those grooves. So you just want to note, you just kind of want to push the belt down a little bit, and then you can swivel the midsection without any problem. He's got, the legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits about that much. He can get his leg forward pretty good, and he can do his leg out and back good. He's got the thigh swivel, and he's got a double jointed knee, so he has good bending at the knee. And then the ankles, he's got the hinges for the up and down movement, and he's got ankle pivot, so good movement at the feet. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I really like the figure. I'm glad that we're finally getting an updated version of this character. I think this figure is much more in keeping with what Toy Biz had wanted to do with the character in figure form back in the day. It's definitely better looking than the actual figure we did get from Toy Biz. I hated that soft goods hoodie shirt that they gave the figure. So the sculpted one looks 10 times better in my opinion. So, and you know, if you're a fan of this character, I think this is one that you're definitely going to want to add to your collection. If you're not, if you didn't like this costume, then obviously this is one you could probably pass on. So this figure, along with the rest of the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave, should start hitting shelves here in the United States within the next couple of weeks, so it should be any day now. And we'll have a full gallery of images for the figure over at marvelousnews.com. And as always, you know, we ask, if so inclined, please like the video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and you know, also please leave a comment and let us know what you think. We're definitely interested in hearing your opinions about these figures. And until next time, I'll catch you later.